Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today we're going to be covering more of this episode. I don't even remember what they were talking about at all. So I'm going to just go in pretty soon. I just have to say as a little announcement, which I like to do this a little bit when I do daily. I do think my dopamine issues are better. Like, I've been enjoying like this cheesy Spore video game. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but it's really old. I've been enjoying like terraforming planets and weird sci-fi girly pop stuff. I've been really into it, and I've really been able to rest on my days off, which is like amazing because I was restless for like ever for months. I swear, from probably like I don't even know, like September or October till like now. So that's pretty big. And it's kind of a relief to like actually get satisfaction out of hobbies and stuff again and like actually like enjoy things again, which I feel like I don't think that's talked enough about within weight loss, like especially that like low obesity level, like the restlessness that can happen and that kind of stuff, where it's like I couldn't sit still. Like it was a lot of low dopamine, kind of pseudo ADHD symptoms that I had for a long time, and they are starting to get better. So it's very slow improvement, but I've come a long way from March. I think March was the absolute worst with that, where I literally didn't enjoy anything ever, which is only scary because it's like we don't know. As you're going through it, you don't know if it will end. But now I know it will, so now I can tell other people, oh yeah, it ends. If you feel that way, it'll end. You know, you just gotta get past it. You gotta get out of obesity and stay out, and then it starts to get better. Like I can say things like that now because I know. But that was kind of weird for quite a while. So let's go ahead and start this. I feel like calmer and more tired. I think the solstice is hitting me where I'm getting tired now. So I don't know if I'm going to be super witchified, but we can still break things down even from a calmer place. So we'll be fine. But anyways, you guys have been such good sports with all my ever-changing moods and stuff throughout the years, so I appreciate you guys so much. But let's go ahead and start.
Yeah, as you go up in that range, right, the accessibility goes down, right? And we've talked about that a lot. I just want to go back to the look that was on Alyssa's face. I do understand that you have body dysmorphia, 100%. I'm not trying to be insensitive to that
I got you.
at all.
So
hang on.
Yep.
So
They have a hard time with body dysmorphia, a lot of them, because I don't know. I feel like there's kind of a judgment from a lot of fat activists, and it's interesting that there's even a little bit of that kind of cattiness over this body dysmorphia thing. I think it comes from the delusion that, gosh, I'm so terrible with their names. I literally need to like write their names down with flashcards. But her, I'm so bad. She has this delusion that she doesn't have an E followed by the letter D, but she 100% does. It's so obvious to anybody with, I think to anybody with the issue, it's extremely obvious that she has the problem badly. Again, they all do. For her to upsize post-surgery, that usually is giving to the point where it should be like diagnostic practically. It's so obvious that there's a problem. And then we already know with her. She admits that there's an issue. She just thinks it's the wrong one, which that's a whole other issue. There's a lot of institutional failures going on with that. I don't judge her as much because somebody should tell her what she actually has. But anyways, let's continue.
I did notice that Rebecca used the past tense of you used to think. And from your face, I gathered that you know that that's not a past tense kind of thing. So I just wanted to quickly remind you, Alyssa, whose jeans was I wearing last night?
You were in fact wearing my pants.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
We talk about the impact of other people's words.
Mm-hmm.
And we're being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I've been sitting on this.
Okay, so she was somewhat trying to. I think with her, she just has a certain attitude where she has a little bit of Chapel energy. She has a little bit of mid-sized princess energy. Where I think just when she talks, she sounds like she's better. She sees herself as better than you. That might just be a part of her personality. Because I don't know if she was actually trying to shade. But her tone was giving shady. So again, I don't think she can hide her true feelings that well. That's my opinion. But let's continue. That was actually supposed to be comforting, but it was very like, to me, emotionally, how I felt it, so to speak, is like, you're dumb for thinking this. You're totally dumb. Which it's like, okay, that's fine. You can have that attitude. I don't know. But it's like, you can't do this, like, I'm a nice person or I'm like so sweet act. Which she also does a lot, in my opinion, where I don't think she's a sweet person at all. I think she's like a viper. I've told you guys that before. Which, again, I can be very witchified and stuff, but it takes one to know one, you know? So I definitely see that in her. How do I know? Because she talks about things like she wants to fight with people online. She looks for hate comments. She's always trying to do this type of stuff, which is fine. You know, I don't have anything against a more aggressive type of woman. You guys know I'm a huge Swiftie. Taylor is very much that way. I admire her for it in a lot of ways, especially because I'm so feminine, but I also am aggressive too at times. So I like Taylor for that reason, because she can kind of like provide that lane, which I really appreciate, and I think it's really needed. But however, you can be a huge mess and very destructive with that energy, or you can be very constructive. And I don't feel like, I'm guessing Allie, I think that's her name. I don't think she is constructive with it. I think she's very destructive. And I think it's hard for her to channel that rage or that energy into something good. So she's, again, doing a lot of reinforcement. We just heard her in a previous episode gleefully celebrating that Rebecca had upsized post-surgery, for example. That's a very destructive, kind of aggressive vibe. I don't think I could ever be friends with someone like her, because we just don't agree on this stuff, and it would just be a lot of arguing. I'll put it to you that way. A lot. So, because I wouldn't listen to her. And I'd put up plenty of chapel boundaries with somebody like that. And you kind of have to, because she is on like this highway to hell of reinforcement. I'm telling you. And I know that stubbornness. I know it. And that stubbornness, I used to have it too, and it almost killed me. And I think a lot of times women think that they're invincible from the issues of obesity because they can handle it longer than men. A lot of people talk about how much easier it is for men to lose weight and all this stuff, or a man's calorie deficit is this and that and the other. But people don't talk about the fact that obesity, it harms the male body much faster, to the degree of like 10 years faster. And you see like the average death rate of obesity and a lot of men dying earlier and this type of stuff from heart attacks and things like that a lot sooner than women. And men can also gain much faster as well as lose much faster. So it kind of balances out. But I think that difference between males and females, it gives a lot of females this idea that they're invincible in their obesity, when it's not true. And you have to still be very careful as a woman, because even though it takes your body longer to break down due to obesity, it will also take you longer to get out. It takes you longer to gain. It takes you longer to lose. So you don't want to wait until you're on death's door because it can take too long to get out. And that's scary. So all I can say is do not listen to someone like her, because even if you feel okay for now, it can always turn. It can always turn, and it always will. And it is harder as a woman to get out because it takes longer. And you have to use the extra time that you naturally have to get out sooner and start the process sooner. So that's the smart way to think about it. Don't think about it as I'm totally invincible and I'm fine, because you're not. You're not totally invincible and you're not fine, because it's going to take longer to get out. So that's my warning.
And I actually was going to make a reel. I still might.
Oh, this is our content now. I'm just kidding. TM.
I have stumbled across videos on the internet of people starting to talk about us.
Yeah.
Which, okay, make us famous. Okay. I try really hard to not engage in that. I try hard to not listen, to give it the time. People have different opinions. And frankly, there was a long part of my life in which I lived my life from a place of...
If somebody is really huge, there's at least a 50-50 shot that they have this issue, that they have binge. Because, and you need to understand that there is a reductive part of the cycle. And there's all these, the image issues and all that, it's all a part of it as well. And that needs to be mainstream information. It needs to be known. Absolutely known. Because look at this lack of diagnosis. It's very obvious. The issue that she has is extremely obvious what she has. But it's atypical blank. No, it isn't. It very obviously is not. It's very frustrating. But yes, there are huge institutional failures on this issue. Huge. It goes all the way up, and I wonder why. People hide it. People project the opposite issue onto it, and there's more people that are binge. So therefore, they can overpower the conversation and make it all about the reductive side of E followed by the letter D. They can make it all about that one because they're more of a minority. So that way, they can point the finger at that and say, well, I'm not like that, or I don't have that. That's the only way you can have E followed by the letter D. There's only two, right? There's only two. That's how people act. When you bring up E followed by the letter D in public conversation, there are so many people that have no idea that there is a binge one. That is by design. That is people who have the issue hiding it. They'll hide it by saying food addiction. They hide it by saying, it's genetic, blah, blah, blah. I don't eat that much. I don't know, right? All these different kinds of lies that people say. And she's thinking, oh, like, well, all these people in all these institutions, they haven't said anything to me. Yeah, because people with the issue, they go into it. And there are a lot of people that have either recovered or maybe not recovered from the super reductive one, and they project it onto other people still, which is bad. You have to be very healed, in my opinion, to get into that line of work, because you need to make sure that you are not projecting something onto somebody, which a lot of people with those issues, they go into these types of fields where they would talk to her about it and they would project their experience onto her. But you have to look at the facts. You have to look at her size. It is part of a diagnostic. It is. And I feel for her. I really do. She has a lot of health issues coming in. And she's delusional. And she's lied to. It's very unfortunate. I feel bad for her. She's the one I feel bad for. Honestly. And I wonder if she will figure it out one day. And if she does, she's probably going to be so mad. She's going to have the anger of 1,000 suns. And I feel for her. I really do. I really, really do. You don't even know how much I feel for her. Because it would have been so nice for somebody to tell me the issue I had at 16. It would have been great. You know how much easier it would have been to deal with at that point? You know how much I could have been helped at that point when I had very obvious issues? I wasn't even really hiding it that well. It's tragic. It's just horrible. And it has to change. It does. That's something that has to change.
The problem is that I'm fat. I'm the problem. I just need to lose weight.
And that's how quickly their thoughts can switch.
No, you can have one and still need to lose. There's this other one. There's one of them that results in a lot of excess weight. What a shock. What a shock. It's almost like one of them has been totally hidden for some reason. It's almost like I've been talking about it online for the past year. And people get pissed about it too. How dare I? How dare I talk about it? How dare I not reinforce it? How dare this? How dare that? There is a reductive part of it. There is a part of it that has to do with knowing you need to downsize. That's a part of it. But do you do it in a way that works? No. You choose stupid ways that are intentionally dumb so that it will fail. That's a part of it, because part of the issue is shame and guilt and creating failure so that you can feel that guilt and shame so that it reinforces the behaviors. It takes a lot to actually maintain this. It is a whole ass commitment. It is a lot. I talk about it often on this channel like a toxic religion. It is a lot to do. And I think a lot of people don't understand how much effort actually goes into sustaining something like this. And unfortunately for her, she's not getting the help that she needs. And she's going to continue to engage in the behaviors and all this stuff. And now she'll be like, well, it's a part of my recovery from such and such. And it's like, you're not recovering. You can't even talk about it without crying. You're not getting any closer. And I'm the big bitch because I will say that she isn't recovered. It's obvious she's not. She can't handle anything. She can't talk about anything. She cries at the drop of a hat over these issues. She's deeply triggered by them. And I feel for her because to be honest, she's very introverted. And I don't think she has any other friends, really. I really don't. I think that those two are like her besties, or they're really close. And she doesn't have a lot of opinions coming in my opinion. I don't think so. She goes to people who will tell her what she wants to hear. And she's with those friends who will continue to reinforce what she's doing as she has all these health issues building up. And it's getting worse and worse. So I've told you guys many times, I don't have an answer for intervention. All I can do is try to encourage people who are trying to get out and tell them, do not be like her. Don't be like her. It's dangerous.
Oh,
The thinking.
I literally sometimes sit there and I'm like, I'm actually fucking crazy. I am off my rocker. I have no sense of reality sometimes. How many different offices do I need to sit in with people telling me, Alyssa, you have a problem. This is a problem. This is a mental health issue. This is, they don't see what my dad's doing. They don't see what my friends are doing. They don't see how people are talking online.
Yeah, they don't see what that asshole on YouTube is saying. And did that asshole on YouTube go to medical school?
No, I know. I did it for how many years? I literally hurt myself. It is trippy. It is trippy. And that's why
You still are. You still are. It doesn't take a medical science degree to see it. It shows. You talk about it. Don't talk about needing a CPAP, for example, if you don't want people to observe reality. Don't talk about these other diagnoses and other things that are coming down the pipeline at you if you don't want people to comment on reality. I do think that she's out of touch. I do. I absolutely do. She can't understand that there are ways to downsize without being overly reductive. She can only think in black and white. She can't think logically about this issue. She just can't. And I feel for her in that sense. I've been that way. I have. But I think she's going to just, if she's anything like me, if any of them are like me, which they probably are, they're going to burrow down until they have a huge health crisis. And like I told you, it takes longer as a woman. It takes longer to break down, but it takes longer to build back up. And I can see that. I see it coming. I see it coming for a lot of women in fat acceptance. I see it. And as somebody who's stared into the eye of Sauron and seen the end and all this stuff, you can see how far along they are and all this stuff. She still has some time, but she's not getting the help she needs. And, you know, she might be able to go along like this for another 10 years. And at that point, I think she's going to really... That's when I think her health will take an absolute crap. It's probably in a decade. But then she'll act surprised and, oh my gosh, and I thought I was doing the right things and da-da-da. But it's going to be a long, hard road if she even makes it, which a lot of people don't. And that's real. Because if you've had these issues from a young age, if you do it for a long, long time, it breaks down faster and you pass away sooner. And there's all these warning signs. And people ask, like, how can they be that big? Or how can this? And how can they go on like that? Listen to the delusions she has. Look at the physical reality of her health breaking down, and she still doesn't see it. She's convinced that she's taking the healthy route, even as things are getting worse and worse and worse from years and years. It's tragic. It's hard. It's confusing. Because at her level, if she were to start actually trying to fix the issues, she's not going to feel good. She's at a point where she's not going to feel good no matter what. So she can't even really go based on that. And being super morbidly obese, the road is long. It's a long road to get out. And I told you guys, I didn't feel better until I lost like 70 to 80 pounds. That's a long time. And I don't know what it would be for her. But as a woman, 80 pounds can take a lot longer. It can take a long time. Doesn't mean it's not worth it. It doesn't mean it's not possible, but it can take longer. Like I said, slower to break down, slower to recover. That's how this works with women.
You're saying like our words
So she'll think, I don't feel that good when I'm trying to do the right things. I don't feel that great. Well, then I guess I'm doing the wrong thing, but then she'll stay the same. I don't feel that great. And I keep feeling worse and worse. It's like being on a sinking ship. Because it's hard. You don't feel good when you're losing at that size. You don't. And it's awful. But that's why you have to just be one and done. You got to go slow. You got to go consistent. One and done. Be out. But in order to do that, you can't be toxically ritualistic. You can't be doing the behaviors. You can't. You have to stop. But again, they never want to. You don't want to. You do not want to stop. It's your worst fear. You don't want to stop. So she doesn't want to. Okay, well, it's not natural to do to your body. It isn't. So the longer you do it, the worse it is. It's very hard. It's hard to watch, honestly. Like if you think about it too deeply, it's really sad.
really impactful, you know? And like, yeah, it's a little bit of like, I know, I'm really sorry.
Kill you.
I know it's a little bit of like my own mental health. Like I gotta own that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I own it. I own what my reality is, you know? But it doesn't
No.
make it easy.
Well, and you're someone who has the support for when you go to your therapist, you know, that we can make this happen. They're like, Alyssa,
Yeah.
I've known you for this many years. I mean, you know, like,
Yeah, I get a reality
and
check.
so I just feel like so many people don't, right? And they might not ever put this kind of information out there about themselves, but they don't have to hear it about themselves. That's the thing. They
Yeah.
can hear it being said about others. They're like, well, you know, I'm aware that I don't eat X, Y, Z, but they said that I must eat this much, so I gotta cut it some.
Not that day. See, the thing is, I know where these lies come from. You can't fool me. You just can't. So the truth about it is, you're not always in an active state of binge. What happens is, you'll kind of coast, you'll maintain, then something really bad might happen, or you might go through a tough spell, or you might go through a stressful time. And it's during that phase that you're binging, and that can last for a couple months, a few months. But then you stop and you're like, well, I'm not eating that much, but you're also not really in a sustained deficit either. And you might be eating less one day, but the next day you eat more to keep up. Your body will naturally try to maintain its weight, no matter what, or no matter where you're at. So if you're not being intentional, then it's probably not going to happen. Certainly not from a super morbid place where your hunger is really high. It's very high. That's why a lot of people resonate with taking semaglutide and things like that and GLP-1s, because it helps with the hunger. You are very hungry when you're small. Very hungry. And so it's very challenging to get out. It's an awful situation to be in. You don't ever want to be in it. If you guys are not in it, do not go into it, because it is totally different. I always say it's like being on another planet, but you don't have any good choices. There's a lot of pain to stay in it. There's a lot of pain to get out. It's the way it is. Once you get out of it, it's not that bad. Even morbid, it's not that bad. It's like half as bad. It's still bad because it's still morbid and you feel it. But then you get to class 1 and it's not even anything, honestly, comparison. It just isn't.
Somewhere, I gotta keep cutting it somewhere. And then, like, literally they're cutting it to, like, the bits.
Yeah.
And then
No.
they're
That's not true. And then they binge after a day. I mean, let's be real. The longest a person typically will go is maybe maybe a month, maybe at a long one, it could be 6. But whatever it is, within BINGE, however long you're being reductive, that's typically how long you BINGE after. So if you do it for a month, then you're going to BINGE for a month. If you do it for 6 months, then you're going to BINGE for 6 months. It's that kind of thing. And what happens? Your weight downsizes and upsizes. Downsizes and upsizes. That's what it looks like. Sometimes you stabilize, and sometimes you just kind of slowly upsize over time because you're just doing the behaviors. Maybe you're not doing them as often. So you think you're okay, but you're not. And part of recovery is normalizing your weight. And that's true of the other side too. You have to normalize your weight. That isn't recovered. I don't reinforce things here, I told you. I'm gonna be real with you. You're not fully recovered if you didn't normalize your weight. You're just not.
The metabolism is all fucked up and their body's retaining everything because the body's like, stop starting me.
Your metabolism gets effed up because of nutrient deficiency, which can be fixed with eating nutrients. It can sometimes take 6 months or a year, maybe even a year and a half if it's really bad. It took me a year and a half before I could sustainably do a deficit, but it was still possible. I got my nutrient stores up. I ate nutrient-dense foods. I fixed the issues I was having, and I wasn't nutrient deficient anymore. And then your metabolism comes back. You go to the gym, you build muscle, builds your metabolism back. Otherwise, you're losing muscle over time, which does slow your metabolism, but they act like you can't do these things. You can. You can build muscle. You can build muscle pretty easily within supermorbid obesity because your body has so much energy on you. It's still rough. It hurts still. You know, it used to take me 5 days to recover, but I still was able to put muscle on when I lifted and stuff. And that helps you. It helps you. Creates leverage against the fat. You have to remember that the fat on you is a living organ. It's alive. It's hormonally active. It's not just like a water tank sitting there. It's doing things. So you have to have the other parts of your body be able to outmaneuver it. You have to create leverage over it. You have to get under 50% body fat. Then it starts to slowly get easier over time. People don't think about it the way that they should. And people that have not been super morbid, they don't understand these types of things, which why would they? They've never been to the other planet, but I have. I know what the other planet is like. It's hell. It's really hard. So I would never judge her if it took her 3 years to get out. I wouldn't judge her, and neither should anyone else. But if she's not making any progress, she's just not. It has to be your top priority when you're super morbid, or it will not happen. It can't be your only priority, but it has to be your top, or it will not happen. There is no such thing as passive WL within super morbid. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't. I don't think it necessarily ever exists. It might be a myth in general, but it can kind of happen, I think, from class 1 onward in some cases. Like if you just got a super active job or something and like things change, like your lifestyle changes or something, then maybe it could happen. But it won't in SMO. It just won't, because you're going to be hungry. So I'll be real with you. I will be. That's me being real with you.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I've literally joked about this, but it's like not funny. I had GI issues for years. Years.
It's a symptom of B-I-N-G-E. E followed by the letter D.
Had a colonoscopy done, all of this. You say that.
Just like if you overeat drastically very quickly, it also has an issue with digestion.
Oh, you just unlocked a big trigger moment for me.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm not triggered, but
Okay.
I'm pissed.
Oh, please.
The anger got
Just
raged.
remember the feedback that I got on Spotify.
Oh, yes, I'll keep that in mind.
Okay.
Whenever I went to, I had such bad GI issues 10 years ago that I had to go have colonoscopies and upper endoscopies.
Wow.
And before I even got there, of course, you meet with the person who's going to do that thing. He's like, it's just fast food. You got to cut out the fast food. He's making all this stuff about how I must be eating something. He told me that there was a goddess within me that I just needed to chisel my way to.
Oh my God.
I was like, I was young. My mom came with me. That's how young I was when this was happening.
Yeah, I don't like that narrative. It's not very helpful. I don't think it's helpful. It kind of pisses people off. You have to think of it differently. A lot of times people within the issue, they're holding this ideal version of themselves up against the reality and using it as a weapon. So if you say something like that, you're actually reinforcing the problem. So it's really important to not focus on looks as much and really focus on the behaviors, on the anxieties behind it, and on what the person is actually doing. Because that doesn't reinforce it. So I will talk about their size sometimes, but it's to just describe physical reality and it's more neutral. Like I would never say something like, they look horrible or something like that. I wouldn't say that. It's not good to say, like, it's not good to put these value judgments on it. That can be reinforcing. And then certainly like pointing out certain body parts and things like that, like that's a huge issue. Sometimes I do see people in anti-FA doing that and I cringe a little bit, but I know it's because they don't have an understanding. But that is triggering, which you don't want to do. So I try my best to not do that. I don't ever reinforce it. Like I said, I do my best not to reinforce things because I understand it. So you don't do that kind of stuff because that can reinforce. If you talk about the behavior, if you talk about the logic, if you talk about these types of things, if you point out the reinforcement, if you point out the work that goes into it, there's a lot of people that believe there's no work going into BINGE or the problem. But there's so much work that goes behind it. So much. It is just horrible. It is such a burden. The amount of things that I used to have to do, the amount of things I used to have to tell myself, the amount of things that I used to have to tell other people, the amount of money I had to spend, the amount of time to work to get that money, the amount of things I sacrificed to spend that money on it. You don't think I think about those things? I do. There are a lot of people within FA that I have a visceral feeling towards that I really, really don't like. These women, they're not really there. I don't feel that strongly against them as people. I don't. But as much as I may have contempt for certain individuals, which I will tell you guys, I do feel that way towards Aubrey Gordon. It doesn't compare to the amount of contempt I have for the actual issue itself. And I think that it almost taking my life and how painful and long the recovery has been and all these different things, I have a hatred for the actual problem hotter than 1,000 suns. It's so hot, it's cold. I don't know how to describe it. Or maybe it's so cold, it's hot. It's like dry ice or something. It's just crazy. And it's because of how much my life was destroyed by it. And for how long? To where even years later, it'll be 5 years in October, I still think about all the fucking money I wasted. In one of my worst years, 2018, I wasted so much money. I used to spend $60 a day. That's money I'm never going to get back. And I worked for that money. I didn't have anybody paying that. I did. And I worked at a fucking miserable, abusive job for it too. So I didn't even have a pleasant time making that money. And I wasted it on that. You know, I think a lot of people, they talk about how you don't ever get out of it or whatever. I don't agree with that. I think you can. But the legacy of it, it can last a long time. And the scars of it can last a long time. And I don't know. I don't know. I hope I can get over 15 years. I hope I can. But all I can tell you is 5 is not long enough.
Then I'm like, I'm bleeding out of my butt. Can you just, do the little camera thing? He gets in there and goes, oh, you have ulcerative colitis. So I'm like,
So,
which is an autoimmune disorder where your freaking colon attacks itself and creates ulcers. And I'm like, sir.
Okay, you guys, I think I need to stop it here. I think I can't really continue after saying all that. So I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. There's a lot to talk about in this. I'm definitely going to have to edit it. But I will talk to you guys tomorrow. We're still going for Daily June. Have a good rest of your day, night, etc.